All right, you're in it. You've got that initial spark to launch a trucking business in 2025. You've probably even got a truck in mind.
Yeah, but what separates, a flash in the pan from a real long-haul success?
That's exactly what we're tackling today, crafting the crucial roadmap, your comprehensive business plan. Welcome back to the deep dive.
Thanks. And let's be clear right off the bat. This isn't just about filling out forms. This is about strategically thinking through every single facet of your operation. For you, the listener, who's looking to get a real grip on this industry, like quickly and thoroughly,
Hmm.
understanding the nuts and bolts of this business plan is going to be your secret weapon.
Oh,
Serious.
exactly. Our goal today is, well, it's to pull out the absolute essentials of building a business plan that doesn't just aim for profit,
Though profit's important.
of course,
Yeah.
but it's also about setting you up for sustainable success while keeping you squarely on the right side of all the trucking regulations out there, especially as we move further into 2025.
We're continuing our exploration into building and scaling a compliant trucking business. Today, we're digging deep into the process of creating that foundational document, your business plan.
Like the blueprint.
Think of it exactly like that, building the blueprint for a robust and, importantly, legally sound operation.
So whether you're picturing yourself behind the wheel of your own rig soon, or maybe managing a growing fleet in the coming years, understanding these key elements of a solid business plan right now, it's going to give you a significant leg up.
Definitely.
Okay, so a business plan.
Yeah.
It can sound a bit, I don't know, academic. Why is it so absolutely foundational for a trucking business in the real world?
That's a fair question. It might feel like, an extra step when you're just eager to hit the road.
Right, get the wheels turning.
But in this industry, maybe more than others, a business plan acts like your mission control or your GPS, maybe.
Okay, I like that, GPS.
It's not just about getting from one load to the next. It's about strategically navigating the entire landscape, anticipating challenges, and ensuring you're heading towards a clear long-term goal.
So beyond just having a document to show someone, what are the actual tangible benefits for the owner-operator or the future fleet manager listening right now?
Okay, there are several crucial advantages. First, it really forces you to crystallize your business model. Like, what specific niche will you fill? What's your vision for the company in, say, 3, 5 years?
Makes you think it through.
It does. Second, a well-researched plan demonstrates to potential lenders or partners that you've actually done your homework, that you have a viable
Just
strategy.
building confidence in them.
Exactly. You're showing them you're a calculated risk, not just a gamble. Third, it lays bare your projected costs and revenue streams. This helps you anticipate cash flow, which is absolutely vital in an industry with tight margins and, well,
Those delayed payments we always hear about.
those delayed payments, yeah. Fourth, and you really can't overstate this in trucking, it compels you to understand and plan for compliance. All the rules. FMCSA, DOT, state regulations.
The whole alphabet soup.
Pretty much. And finally, it guides you in pinpointing your ideal customers and, just as importantly, understanding how you stack up against the competition.
Okay, so it's the bedrock. Definitely foundational. Now let's get into the concrete stuff. What are the must-have components of a trucking business plan? Where do you even start?
Well, a logical starting point is your mission statement.
Okay.
This is essentially your company's North Star, your fundamental purpose, the why behind it all, and the values that will drive your business.
Your why, yeah. Our resources give a sample to provide reliable, on-time freight solutions for regional and national shippers while prioritizing safety, compliance, and customer satisfaction.
Pretty straightforward.
It is, and it sets the tone, right? Sets the core commitments.
Yeah.
Building on that, you need to detail the specific services you'll offer. Don't just say trucking.
Be specific, very specific. What types of freight will you specialize in? What equipment will you use? Think of it as defining your actual expertise.
Right, the different ways to move freight. We're talking dry van for general goods,
The standard stuff.
reefer, refrigerated transport for perishables, which is super important if you're, say, down in Florida dealing with produce.
Or California.
Or California, yeah.
Oh,
Flatbeds for those oversized, unique loads you often see around industrial hubs, maybe Texas oil fields.
absolutely.
Box trucks for that final mile,
Yeah.
local delivery stuff.
Yeah.
And even, the fast-paced world of hotshot trucking for expedited needs.
Precisely. And this isn't just about listing options randomly. It's about aligning your services with what the market actually demands and, crucially, the capabilities of your equipment.
Makes sense.
For instance, if you're setting up in the Midwest, lots of manufacturing there, dry van might be your sweet spot.
Got it.
But the crucial thread, no matter what service you offer, needs to be that unwavering commitment to dependability, safety, and again, full FMCSA compliance. That has to be constant.
Always comes back to compliance and safety. Okay, next up, market research and industry analysis. This sounds like you need to become a mini expert on the entire trucking world pretty fast.
Well, maybe not the entire world, but definitely the landscape you're stepping into. It's about gaining a deep understanding.
Okay.
This section needs to showcase that you know the industry. You should cover the current overview, things like anticipated growth in freight volumes, the persistent driver shortage,
Still an issue.
still a big issue,
Yeah.
the ever-present impact of fuel costs, obviously, and crucially, any relevant regulatory updates as we navigate 2025. Think about the ongoing implications of ELD mandates for efficiency and compliance.
Right, showing you're plugged into those major trends. What about who else is out there on the road, the competition?
Yeah, you absolutely need to identify your key competitors in your target operating areas, and don't just list their names.
No.
Analyze their service offerings. What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What are their pricing strategies like? And maybe more importantly, try to pinpoint underserved niches or areas where you can offer something unique or, frankly, just better.
Finding those gaps.
Find the gaps. Maybe a competitor is great at long haul but neglects regional routes, or the other way around. That's your opening.
Finding those opportunities, that's key.
Yeah.
And then you need to really understand who your customers are actually going to be.
Absolutely essential. Who are your ideal clients? Are you going to primarily work through freight brokers to find loads? That's common starting out. Or will you aim to establish direct relationships with shippers, the companies actually needing their goods moved?
Which is often the goal.
Right.
More stability.
Often, yeah. Better rates sometimes, more predictable freight. But you need to understand their priorities. Is it solely about the lowest price? Or do factors like reliability, real-time tracking, or maybe specialized handling matter more to them? This shapes your whole approach.
And our sources also highlight the importance of thinking regionally, like the synergy between Texas and flatbed hauling for the energy sector,
Perfect example.
or Florida's need for reefers for its agricultural output, and the Midwest's connection to dry van for manufacturing.
Exactly. Your business plan should demonstrate you get these regional freight ecosystems. You need to consider factors like access to major ports, the density of industrial zones, the key highway infrastructure in your intended operating area.
That level of detail shows you've really done the homework.
It does. It builds that confidence we talked about.
Okay, now we're approaching the numbers, financial forecasts, and startup costs. This is where I think many new ventures can feel, well, pretty overwhelming.
It can be, no doubt.
Yeah.
But it's completely non-negotiable for long-term viability. You have to meticulously outline all your anticipated startup expenses.
Everything.
Everything. The big ones, obviously, purchasing or leasing your truck and trailer, but also all the necessary licensing and permits, your DOT and MC numbers, UCR, IFTA, IRP.
That alphabet soup again.
It is. Plus essential insurance, coverage liability, cargo, physical damage. Then you've got ELD and dispatch software, legal and registration fees, maybe some marketing efforts, potential office or depot costs. And critically, your initial working capital, cash on hand to cover things like fuel, maintenance, tolls, until those first payments start rolling in.
And those initial outlays, they can really vary quite a bit. Our material suggests a range, what, $15,000 to $40,000, maybe even more, depending heavily on whether you're buying versus leasing that equipment.
Yeah, that's a realistic ballpark. Leasing might lower the upfront cost, but buying could be better long term. It depends. It's a significant investment either way.
It really is.
And once you're operational, understanding your cost per mile, your CPM, is just fundamental.
Okay, explain CPM quickly.
Sure. It breaks down all your operating costs, both the fixed ones, like truck payments and insurance premiums that don't change much month to month,
Right.
and the variable ones, like fuel and maintenance, that fluctuate with mileage. It boils it all down to a cost for every single mile you drive.
And the example given is pretty clear. If you drive, say, 10,000 miles in a month, and your total costs are $12,000, your break-even CPM is $1.20 per mile.
Exactly. And that means any load you haul for less than $1.20 a mile,
You're actually losing money on it.
Not sustainable.
Not at all. Consistently hauling below your CPM is, well, it's a recipe for failure. Simple as that.
So your financial projections also need realistic estimates for revenue and profit, not just wishful thinking.
Definitely not. You need conservative estimates, maybe optimistic ones too, but based in reality. And don't forget to factor in things like seasonal fluctuations in demand, the potential volatility in fuel prices.
Always the wild card.
Always. And inevitable downtime for truck maintenance or repairs, things break.
Right. And cash flow, we touched on it earlier, but it seems worth really emphasizing, especially with those standard payment delays from brokers.
Oh, absolutely. You might haul a load today, submit the invoice, and not see that payment for 30, maybe even 60 days. It's common.
That's a long time when you have bills due now. It is. So you need to have sufficient working capital reserves, cash in the bank, or maybe a pre-approved line of credit to bridge those gaps. You've got to cover your immediate operating expenses, fuel, driver pay if you have one. Underestimating this cash flow crunch can sink a new trucking business faster than almost anything else.
Okay, so you've got the present and the near term pretty well covered in the plan. What about looking further down the road? How does a business plan help with, like, long-term growth and maybe attracting potential investors later on in 2025 and beyond?
Yeah, good question. A well-structured plan absolutely includes a clear growth roadmap. It should outline specific, measurable milestones. Think for 6 months, 12 months, 24 months.
Setting targets.
Exactly. This provides internal targets to keep you accountable, but it also demonstrates to potential investors that you have a clear vision for actually scaling the business, not just staying as a one-truck operation forever, unless that's the goal.
And the examples given in our sources are quite specific, which helps. Like within the first 6 months, the focus is on getting your FMCSA authority, getting the right insurance,
All the legal necessity.
completing all those compliance registrations, UCR, IRP, IFTA, and starting to build those crucial relationships with freight brokers, aiming for a solid base of paid miles each month, like 10,000 plus.
That's a solid start. Then, looking out to the 1-year mark, the goals might evolve. Maybe adding a second truck and driver to increase your capacity.
Scaling up.
Scaling up. And maybe implementing more sophisticated dispatch and fleet management software to streamline things as you grow. Get more efficient.
Makes sense. And then by the 2-year mark, the ambitions step up again, maybe aiming to secure direct contracts with shippers.
The golden ticket for some.
Yeah, for potentially higher rates, more stability, maybe exploring opportunities to expand service offerings like adding a different type of trailer, perhaps.
Could be. Diversifying. And growing the fleet to maybe 3 to 5 trucks, a small, manageable size, while potentially bringing on some administrative or operations help, taking some tasks off your plate.
So these milestones provide a really tangible trajectory for growth. People can see where you're headed.
Precisely. Now, to make this all feel a bit less abstract, our sources also offer a sort of sample structure for the business plan document itself, breaking it down into logical sections.
Okay, like a template.
Kind of. Think of it as the framework for organizing all this strategic thinking we've been talking about.
Right, a blueprint for the blueprint, you could say. So it typically starts with an executive summary, a quick overview.
Yeah, a concise summary of the whole plan hits the highlights. Then you follow that with a deeper dive into your company overview, who you are. Then you have detailed sections on industry analysis, customer analysis, and competitive analysis, all that research. After that, you'll outline your marketing plan, how you'll actually find customers and get loads. Then your operations plan, the nitty-gritty of how you'll run the business day to day.
Logistics of the logistics.
Yeah. Then the crucial financial plan with all those numbers, the CPM, the forecasts, the startup costs, and finally that forward-looking growth roadmap we just discussed.
Got it. That structured approach really ensures you've considered all the critical aspects in a, well, logical sequence.
It does. And, to kind of wrap things up, there are some overarching tips for success that really tie everything together from our sources.
Absolutely. Like, number one seems to be realistic, especially with those financial projections. Don't inflate revenue expectations or underestimate costs.
Please don't. Base your assumptions on solid industry data, actual trends, not just hope. Overly optimistic projections can lead to serious problems down the line.
So true. Another non-negotiable seems to be stay compliant. Maintain absolute compliance with all those DOT and FMCSA regulations.
Cannot stress this enough. Violations aren't just fines. They can lead to hefty penalties, increased insurance rates, even the suspension of your operating authority. Game over.
Yeah, shuts you down. And there's a strong recommendation to track everything meticulously. Mileage, fuel, maintenance, invoices.
Everything financial, everything operational. And definitely leverage software solutions to manage this data effectively. It's just too much to do manually in this industry.
Makes sense. That detailed tracking gives you invaluable insights, right?
Yeah.
Into your true profitability, areas where you can maybe improve efficiency.
Exactly. Know your numbers, know your operation. And finally, remember that your business plan isn't some static document you write once and file away.
It's alive.
It needs to be reviewed, updated regularly. As your business evolves, as market conditions inevitably change, think of it as a living document that guides your ongoing journey.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, it's really crystal clear that a well-crafted business plan is far more than just some bureaucratic hurdle you have to jump through.
Oh, much more. It's a dynamic, absolutely essential tool for anyone serious about navigating the trucking industry successfully, especially looking ahead to 2025 and beyond.
Yeah, it provides that critical framework for achieving not just profitability, which is key,
Mm.
but also ensuring you're operating legally and responsibly. And ultimately, that gives you a significant strategic advantage in what is a very competitive logistics landscape.
Couldn't agree more. It really sets you apart.
So whether you're just starting out with that first truck or you have ambitions for a larger fleet down the road, the fundamental principles of building a robust business plan are absolutely essential, foundational for sustainable success in the trucking business.
They really are. And with that in mind, maybe here's something for you, the listener, to consider. How can proactively and thoughtfully developing each of these interconnected sections of your business plan, really thinking through everything from defining your mission clearly to meticulously forecasting your financials and strategically planning your growth, how can that process itself transform potential roadblocks in this dynamic trucking market into distinct competitive advantages for your venture? Not just for tomorrow, but, for the long haul.